Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing? Welcome to Trust Gurus. We are
Yes.
here again, and guess what? We are all four of us together. Yeah.
Yes, we
Yay.
are. We're all here.
Yeah.
So we have looked at our theme. It is called Evolving in Authenticity or Evolving in Our Authenticity. So, with those words, and try not to go too long today, I give to Bobby Glass. Okay?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Dr. Bobby Glass.
I love the topic, but I'm thinking, when we're talking about what that looks like within the transgender community, it really becomes hard to speak about it because so many of us, and especially when I think about people all over the world that have chosen to watch us, and thank you for subscribing, by the way. We're so excited about that. Um, and people are in such different situations. So when I think about evolving into authenticity, my goodness, I I don't know how typical my background is, except that um, I had to be very secretive about that because of when and where I grew up, and I learned very early on that I just couldn't talk about whatever was going on inside of me related to gender, and so as a trans person growing up in the 50s without any kind of support or knowledge about what's going on, I had to sacrifice that authenticity. It was like as soon as I began talking about what I was feeling, it was like I was really shut down. And so for me as a trans person, I really had to sacrifice my authenticity from an early age. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't be really me. And I had to adopt all these personality traits to protect myself from humiliation and embarrassment and ridicule. And as the older I got and the more taboo I realized how the world was trying to treat people like me, I developed. I, I started becoming a serial liar when I was like 5 years old because I just couldn't tell the truth about what was really going on. I couldn't be authentic. And so I think there's a whole lot of people in the queer community that had similar kind of childhood and adolescence experience where they grew up as a version of themselves, but they had to adopt all of these behaviors and personality traits to kind of disguise who they really were. And I know that was really true of me because I wanted people to think well of me, and I tried to excel in academics and school and get lots of awards and run for offices and things like that to make people think well of me when I was really just feeling really awful about myself. And so when it comes to growing into authenticity, it was like I just had to squash that flat from an early age. And so my challenge has been to peel away all those layers of dishonesty and secrecy and those kinds of things that I had to have to just survive, to just live, to not. I was scared to death of abandonment and all of these kinds of things, and so I had all of these kind of personality traits that allowed me to survive. But then you get into your, later on, and you don't have to do that anymore, and you want to become authentic. And so then the task becomes, what about me was really true, and what about me was really fake? And that can be a tough thing to sort through for a lot of people. And that's why I say I needed a lot of professional help because I really did. But the goal of it, we talked about it in an earlier episode back in the winter, I believed, about authenticity. When we talk about the energies and the quantum energies and the ability to control what our reality looks like and the energies that we attract into ourselves, to be able to vibrate at that level of authenticity is really the biggest secret to higher vibrations, is being truly authentic. And so for someone like me, it took a really long time to get there because I had so much stuff that was just fake and deceptive and secretive about me. And I had to keep everybody at arm's length. And so um, I just, as an introduction, I want to throw that out because I know all of you have tons of wisdom and experience in terms of how you became your authentic self. And I just wanted to begin by saying that um, I'm one of those people that kind of started from a disadvantage perspective and that I had to conceal. I couldn't be authentic. I learned that really early on. And so there's a big chunk of my life that has been involved in becoming authentic. So I'll give it back to you, Ella, and see what everybody else has to share.
I can understand you, and I can really, you know, really understand you because I think I was in the same type of thing.
Yeah.
But this is our age anyway. So who wants to go next?
I
Jimmy?
got a couple comments. Sure. So, is the caterpillar authentic, or does the caterpillar become authentic only when it blossoms as a butterfly? These are the questions we got to ask ourselves. And I'm listening to Bobby. In my life journey, I've always been authentic. It's just the definition of authentic evolves over time.
Mhm.
So the caterpillar is authentic, just as authentic as the butterfly. So our evolutionary process, our definition of authenticity evolves in the process of us growing.
Mhm.
You know, you have to be a caterpillar before you're a butterfly. All these trials and tribulations, we all manage somehow in our younger days to not only survive but thrive. Um, all these things, it requires effort to be a butterfly. And the story of when the butterfly emerges out of the cocoon, it's a real struggle. It's a real struggle. It's a violent exchange of energy for the butterfly to emerge out of the cocoon. And this is necessary for the butterfly to grow the muscles in its wings so it can fly away. So parlay that into all the trials and tribulations through our youth. That's the struggle to strengthen our wings so that we can fly. Without that struggle, we're going to fall to the ground. So our authenticity evolves along with us. No human is consistent. We're dynamic creatures. All of us aren't the same person we were a week ago, let alone 10 years ago or 50. We're all evolving. And so just acknowledge and accept the fact that there's going to be thunderstorms and rainy days and hurricanes. And if you didn't have a rainy day, there wouldn't be a beautiful pasture.
Yeah.
So all these trials and tribulations that we go through, they're to help us develop backbone and spine, because it does require strength to be a unique individual in today's world. Yeah. And I think transgender people are unique. And I think this is going to be a great topic. Ella, back to you.
Okay. It is a great topic. Yeah, I do agree with evolution. Everybody has got its own evolution. Raji.
Hello, everybody. Oh my God, this is a great topic. And Jimmy, the caterpillar butterfly, that example, I think, really hits home. It really sums things up I know it sums things up for me, and I think for the rest of the gurus and also our viewers. I love that. I love that example. And yeah, everything that I've been through and all the different quote unquote phases or stages of my life makes me who I am in this very moment. And I feel that us transgender people, we transgender people, one of the beautiful gifts that we bring to the world or that we give to the world is we demonstrate an extraordinary example of living one's authenticity. We demonstrate that to like the 100th degree because every human being um, has to that does that on some level. I mean, we from when we're born, the day we were born and we were little babies to now, I mean, we're not the same person. So everyone has that experience. However, I believe that us trans people, we are like phenomenal examples of someone being able to do that against many challenges and all the different I would say challenges. I think that's the
Yeah.
best word. So, excuse me. So for me, I I know that there was a bit of a tug of war in my journey because a lot of times, like, and people would say this, like, you and I would hear, especially growing up, being gay, being trans, being queer, that's not natural. And I would think, well, they're telling me it's not natural, but it feels natural to me.
That's
And what's natural to me might not be natural to you. Like we all have our natural state of being. And so for a long time, and I think a lot of trans people go through this, we have this phase or stage where we're trying to fit in, where and a lot of it has to do with survival too, because many of us of a certain age, we kind of had to do that to a certain extent for a while to just survive and make it to today, where we can sit here in our full blown authenticity and share our experiences with the world. So it all has a place, like the caterpillar, Jimmy said, then becomes the butterfly. Without the caterpillar, there would be no butterfly, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, but there was that tug of war, and I, there was a internal thing with me where I was like, but no, this feels natural to me. This feels like this is the fit that I'm looking for. This is me, despite what family, friends, community, the world is saying. And that's what I mean about us being an extraordinary example, because I can almost guarantee that most transgender people, we had to, at some point, put a lot on the line, a lot at stake to stand in our truth. And I'll just open with that and I'll send it back to Ella.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. Yeah,
Mm.
I have to tell you that I really totally agree with you too. I like this theme because evolving in authenticity means two things. First is evolving, which is evolution, and it's getting better. And authenticity, it means being yourself and being yourself. Yeah, there is stages in our life, and we have to really accept the stages that we go through. But right now, I have to tell you something. I've got something which is I've written some books, and one of the books I've read it's my life, and right now I'm going through putting those books in Audible. So I have someone which is actually narrating the books. I'm not doing it myself. And today I was just listening to one of the chapters
Mhm.
to accept it. And oh my God, I've written the book about 8 years ago. It's been a while. Probably I forgot many things about it, but everything just came back about it. And it was about my youth and how I felt as a transgender kid at the age between what, 5 and 14. I knew I was a transgender. And this was in the 60s, you know? It was another world, like, you know, like Bobby said, it was another world. It was a completely different world for us. And, you know, being a transgender then was, first of all, it was forbidden. Don't forget, if you were caught in many countries like I was dressing with girls' clothes, probably I would have to go to prison because it was
Yes.
forbidden at the time. Um, and relating that period where you are forming yourself and you've got all these people around you, which of course they knew because my mother knew it very well. And my sisters knew it very well. And they used to punish me because I was doing things like that. So you get kind of in that little corner that you have, they put you in your head that you cannot do it. It's wrong. It's bad.
Right.
And I suffered a lot all my life with that vision. And it takes extra strength when you come to the time where you have got something called self-acceptance. And that period of self-acceptance, which came much, much later of me being a transgender woman and me being a woman, was pretty tough in the beginning. Really, really, really tough. But you know what? I'm glad I did it. Because it was the most important thing in the world. Finding your authentic self and evoluting in that area means a hell of a lot of self-acceptance and a lot of courage to go through it and never forget that. But you know, as we always tell, and we've been telling very, very often here, follow your fears because your fears are the right place to go. There's no loss. There's gain of ideas, gain of something which, you know, it's evolution. It's evolution. You don't make mistakes. You make new apprenticeships. And this is the very, very important thing. And when you come to that moment where you say, I don't want to stop, I want to stop lying to everybody I know. I want to be myself and I don't give a freaking damn what the other people think because it's my life. This is the important point. And by, you know, hey, it's you. It's your life. Nobody can replace it, you know. And with those words I give to the whole theme.
Yeah.
You know, so you know what we're talking about here. All of us are saying the same thing.
Yep.
We all need to grow. We need to grow into ourselves.
Yes.
It's the journey. Because in our younger days, the people that we are now existed way outside of our comfort zone. So we had to grow into ourselves to develop maturity and a sense of awareness, a sense of self-trust to become authentic. In our younger days, we didn't have the trust in ourselves. All these things we're talking about is it's the process of growing into ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
By the way, I just saw a couple of days a film with Netflix. It's called William and Harper.
Oh yeah,
I
Will
would
and Harper Go West.
go west. Oh my God, it's an incredible film because it really touched, uh, you know, the similarities. What we go through is so incredible. So incredible. I have to tell you, when I wrote my book about my autobiography, I did it for a very special reason. Because I know many people, and I knew that many people are going to say, why did you do that? And like that, I can just tell, read my book.
Read your book.
And believe me or not, many people did. Many people did and still doing it. And I think that is, for me, it's an expression which is very important.
You know, I think that we trans people, we have to demonstrate there's a strength that it takes to be who we are and to do what we do. And everything plays a role because the difficult times that many of us trans people went through growing up, that us going through that and getting through that, that wasn't for nothing. It helped to build us and make us strong and give us more of an endurance. And I think it prepared us for a lot of the things that we would have to face later on as we started our transition, and that whole thing, because there's that beginning part where you're kind of like a toddler and you're like, wobbling along. And when you're first starting, like, oh, well, how should I wear my hair? And, even something as simple as that, and you're like, you're a toddler, but as you do it more and more and you grow into it, grow into it, evolve into it, you get better at it and you get more confident. And confidence is a powerful thing, because I even see it with, like, when I walk out into the world. There was a time when I walked out and I was like unsteady, especially in the beginning of my transition. And I would cower, like, and people, they see that. And it's almost like the sheep that goes into the lion's den, but when you exude confidence, people also see that and respond to that in ways that are positive, and, like, you're exuding confidence, which means that you're commanding respect. And so, a lot of this stuff that we went through brought us to this moment. And I don't negate any part of my life, because every single thing makes me who I am in this moment. Every single thing.
Yeah, exactly. I it's funny, I've said for a long time that transition is a grand adventure in trial and error learning. And you have to, that's part of the evolution, is trial and error learning. Um, especially when you're being out, 24/7 and in public and at work and in your families and all of that. There's a lot of stuff that comes by trial and error learning. And so when Jimmy was mentioning the caterpillar and the butterfly, I meant to send it to you all. I saw this like months and months ago, but somebody had done a time lapse of the caterpillar forming a cocoon and then locking themselves away inside of that. But one of the things that I didn't realize is that once inside that cocoon, the caterpillar liquefies. There is nothing left inside there that looks anything like a caterpillar. It is a big bunch of goo. It is just as liquefied as it can be. And then, it starts forming this exoskeleton and legs and eyes and like Jimmy says, the final push to break out of that cocoon, it's just really glorious. And that's not a bad metaphor when I think about liquefying inside. It's like all of the stuff you have to deal with and reconstruct and discover anew about yourself. And and it's funny, and it doesn't stop. I agree with Ella, because, I was born in 1950, and oh my God, yes, being trans was one of the most taboo things in the world. And you're exactly right. You could go to jail for wearing anything, any kind of feminine clothing in public. And uh, and then if you came from a family that could get you out of jail, then they probably want to institutionalize you for a while.
Yeah.
Back when psychiatry was mostly shock treatments and lobotomies, and so I was just terrified. I was terrified of anybody knowing who I was. And so that kind of lying and secrecy just took a dreadful toll on me. And, to the part where I'm filled with self-loathing and all of this stuff because of this fake persona that I had created. And so that was the decision I made. It's like, I am sick of lying. I am not going to lie anymore. I didn't decide to become authentic. I decided to stop lying. And that was the key that kind of unlocked everything for me. But what, and as I've evolved into this glorious life and opportunities and just I mean, I say I've never lived a healthier, happier, better, or more abundant life than I'm living right now. But it's like it doesn't stop there. And so that's another thing that I've been going through lately on the way to authenticity and to fulfilling my purpose, what I believe needs to be true of me. While I've got my time here on earth, there's some things that I really want to make happen. And um, and I've really been struggling with that. And I've needed some professional help. You would not believe the assortment of people I'm talking to about what is going on. And it's really like that child that had to be so secretive and so hidden and so protective and develop all of these things to just protect itself and survive. There's still, that kid is still inside and still scared of a lot of those things. It's like, well, if I go there, I'm going to open myself up to more of this and more of that. And this little kid is inside is saying, no, let's not do that. Let's not do that. And so I'm, it's still a struggle for me to aspire to some things that are going to stretch me farther than I've ever been stretched. They're going to put me out there more than I've ever been put out there. And there's still a part of me that's really scared about that, with like panic attacks and things like that. And it's like, oh, this has got to go. Just no, I am much too old to have panic attacks. That and what is going on with that? So that's why I say I need to talk to several people to help me figure out. Is like, why at this point in my life is that worse than it's ever been? And that just really puzzled me. And so anyhow, I've been spending the last couple of weeks getting a lot of clarity in all of that. And I see that also is evolving into your authenticity. It's like, as great as things are right now, it's not the end of the destination. It's like, there's still a little bit more to go. And I'm excited about that now. And I recognize all of that procrastination and fear and anxiety as just, it's just that little kid saying, oh, protect me, protect me. I'm scared of being abandoned. I'm scared of being hurt. I'm scared. And it's like, oh, stop that. Look how far we've gotten. And no, but no, we're not hurt. We're doing fine. So
Yeah. To tell you the truth, Bobby, I think that things are not so great anymore. I think that we are passing this phase slowly. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Let's put it this way. Very, very, very nicely. Okay, let's make the final round, huh? Jim, you would like to go?
Sure. So as I'm listening to everybody, Raji was talking about respect. I think we garner respect once we begin to respect ourselves.
Yeah.
And all of us are a work in project, in a work in process. We all are. The process of evolution is nonstop. It's continuing. So we recognize areas in our life that need improvement, fix them. All of us are mature adults that have management and problem solving skills. If there's areas in our life that need improvement, improve them. Improve them. We all have the self-control and self-awareness enough to come up with a game plan and then take action. The whole purpose of these videos is to give folks tools necessary to identify areas in their life that need improvement and then come up with a game plan and implement the game plan. And I read something earlier today that there are, I don't know how 8 billion people on the planet. There's less than 1 billion people on the planet collectively that initiate a plan and see it through to results.
Oh,
So you want to be the 1% of the 1%. Transgender people are already 1% of the planet. You want to be 1% of the 1%, and have the discipline and the consistency and the determination to come up, identify the areas in our life that need improvement, come up with a plan, implement it, and see it through until you get the results you want.
Mm.
You just don't go to the gym one time.
yeah.
Fitness, that live in a fit body, the rent is due every day. But the benefits are immense. Immense.
Yeah.
I love you all.
Oh,
Raji?
Sure. So, I talked about earlier about how we transgender people, one of the biggest gifts that we bring to the world or show the world or give the world is the ultimate example of living one's authentic truth. So evolving to your authenticity. But we live in a realm, this earthly realm from the beginning has continued to evolve. We've gone from the caves to the computers. And so we're a part of an ever evolving, manifesting existence. And I couldn't help to look at our panel. We're all transgender women of a certain age. And I thought, wow, our mere existence and what all we went through back in the day when it was illegal to wear females' clothing, and and you could be sent to prison, all of that. We have helped in the evolution of the transgender population because there's no law like that anymore. Like, in other words, even that in itself, as a community, we have evolved in society. So, it's like we can look at our own lives, but then beyond that, look at the bigger picture and really appreciate the fact that we've been a part of an evolution for transgender people. Because, we can go out and wear women's clothing and we can be ourselves. And, there's a lot of rights that we do have that we didn't have. I mean, I think I transitioned in a time where there were zero rights. I mean, you couldn't change anything. And, so what I'm trying to say is our mere existence and us living our authenticity and evolving into it has helped as a whole our people evolve. Ella?
You're so right, Raji. I was just thinking about the day I held up my driver's license with my name and F on there for gender marker. And it was like, most people will never have a clue what I went through
Yes.
to get a freaking driver's license with an F on it. And now it's like, pretty much anybody that would like to do that there's a path forward to make that happen. And I say it a lot when we talk about evolving into our authenticity, how 5 years from now, our life is just going to be the same as it is today, except for the people we meet and the books and stuff
the
we
books
read.
we read.
That's right. And
Listen.
and so that's that's part of what we're saying here is if you long and thirst for authenticity, make sure that you're reading and watching good stuff and putting that between your ears, and you're meeting good people. And to give you an example is I am just totally grateful, beyond words, for you, Raji, and Jimmy, and Ella, and the things that you've helped me to see and to get curious about and look into. And a real specific example of that is you can't hang around Jimmy very long without feeling like, I really need to get to the gym. Jimmy's right. Yeah, Jimmy's right. I would, yeah. And I just wanted to say, if I had not been invited to be with you all and to meet you and Jimmy and Ella, it's like today I was just thinking, I've been going to the gym at least 4 times a week for 6 months now.
Oh
And
my
nobody would
Hold on.
believe that about me, 7 months ago. Nobody would have believed that. And so that's just the other thing, evolving into your authenticity. Make sure you surround yourself with really good people and put really good stuff between your ears. So
Yes, with those words, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to the gym these days, I have to say. I have to go again, but I am walking to the beach every day. I do my 2 to 3 miles a day. So that is my kind of,
yes.
but I know it's getting too hot, so I have to, I have to start going.
Drive.
And by the way, I go to LA Fitness too. Anyway, with those words, thank you for listening. Thank you for being with Transgurus. We'll be next week again. And it was really great to talk to you guys. And keep on being our fans, keep on subscribing, and see you. Bye, everybody.
love, peace, and
Bye.
blessings.
Namaste.